Okay, this is going to be a test of the Fushimi Inari VR system on a WMR. I'm using the Acer Windows Mixed Reality headset with two native controllers. I'm on my computer is about 10 or 11 years old, but it's an Intel i7 2600K CPU at 3.4 gigahertz, 16 gigs of RAM. The only update I've got on it is that I put in a GTX 1060 graphic card. And again, the Acer headset, I've modified my headset so I can at least see a little bit down, even when playing, so I can try and keep towards the desk a little bit. Now, oh, that's loud. Let me just turn that down a bit. There we go. Okay, hopefully you should still be able to hear me okay. And let me switch over here. Switch to VR mode, and there we go. So, I've done a few recordings already, but unfortunately I forgot to unmute my mic at one point and so forth. Controls. Left controller, right controller. Right controller is the camera, and your thumb pad up down is your zoom in and out, which works really well. I'd almost like a button that I could press to turn the cam on and off, because sometimes I'll have my hand up here but the screen's there too. But then again, I've got another option that might be worthwhile down the road. But to take a picture, let's zoom in there. Take a picture, you just press it and use the trigger on the right hand controller, and that takes the photo. On the left hand controller, let's see, you've got, if you click left and right on the thumb pad, that's your rotation. Your teleport is your trigger button, and that will use teleport mode. And again, left to right to click, back and forth. And oh, by the way, the game looks gorgeous, as I'll talk about more later on. Let's see. You press the little tiny menu button, and that switches you to smooth walking. Then your thumb pads are touch sensitive for moving, skewing left and right. Skewing left and right is really, really hypersensitive. I'd almost like to see an option in the menu to control the sensitivity of left, right, forward, back in an option menu somewhere, because it does get a little hypersensitive. It is fairly touch sensitive for moving forward, so that you can slow down your pace or move faster. Clicking up down on it doesn't do anything. Thumb pad does nothing. If I'm in walk mode, trigger does nothing, and grip does nothing. And again, grip does nothing on the right hand controller either. And that's actually a possibility for an option I'm going to mention later. So running through here, just keep it at a normal pace. Now the direction, if I only keep moving ahead, will follow the headset. One thing I would really, really like, and I'll explain why in a minute, is maybe on the right hand controller also being able to use the thumbstick on let's say the right controller to rotate my view or slowly pivot my view. Mainly because, as you can see right now, rather than facing the desk, which is over here and my camera is over there, to go straight, I've got to basically turn around all the time. And there are a lot of times, especially if you're in let's say you're in a stagnant chair that doesn't rotate, then you can't really get around anywhere unless you rotate your head but not turn your chair. So you're going to twist. So it does need some sort of way to pivot the screen even on there besides the forward view. But for now, can show 'em. Now, what's nice is, let's see. Oh, too close. There we go. What's nice is you can see the symbols, but you can't really read what I can't really tell if that's an English translation or if it's Romanci or whatever. But you can see some of the rest. Would be really nice, and same thing like with the symbols, or when any of the pillars have writing on them, or when you get to some of the flags, like down the hill, down that way, is to be able to maybe hold it on camera, and when you get to a certain area, it'll recognize that yes, I know there's a translation available here. Maybe press the right controller grip button, and then make sure I'm on camera, and then have let's say an English translation pop up, or what you could do is have what it says in Japanese, have an audible of that pop up and an English translation. And if you need it for other languages, if you set those translations up in a text file, then you can just call the text files for whatever language you want when you first set up, and that would just give the user a little bit a little better feeling of what they're actually looking at or where they are. Oh, 'cause one thing with this map, and I know it's because they probably don't do it on the original one either, but I haven't got a clue where I am. I see got some starting arrows there, so I'm not sure if that's where I started. If it is, then I went around, which means I'm probably at the map here. Let's see. I can't exactly tell where I am, so it's hard to tell where you are on here. That wouldn't necessarily be at the actual location, but it might be nice to have that reference there. Now what I'm going to do is go down. Habit. Let me move a little bit. I keep going to put my hand up to block the sunlight. That's how close it gets to realism and immersion. I keep going to shield my eyes automatically. One thing I did want to mention was, if I can get further, I'll see if I can get further down here and show you. Okay, there's a good way to see it. One thing that blew me away, most games I've tried in VR, you can tell it's a flat sky JPEG image or whatever kind of flat image on here. Here, the sky and the clouds, especially the clouds, they look so realistic. That adds a hell of a lot to the game. Adds a lot to the immersion, so absolute props on that. Now, I'll try not to turn around too much in my seat, but what I want to do is, there we go. Now, strange. Sometimes what happens is I can use the thumb pad a little more touch sensitive to go faster or slower. But this is pretty much my normal walking pace anyhow. By the way, I'm 6'5", so well, actually over 6'5". So the way I'm seeing things is actually normal height for me. Somebody who's shorter or of normal or average height might find themselves as if they're floating up compared to how they would normally see perspectives. One thing that might be a good option is at the beginning in an option menu, have a height adjustment so somebody can adjust their position, and maybe a trigger button grip or something, so that if they need to reset it at any point when walking around, let's say something happens and they're just way too high or way too low, it'll just reset to whatever they had in the option. That would make a big difference. Now I'm going to do something here that I came across, and I absolutely love this. For most things you would expect, you're stuck strictly on the path. Now, you can't explore the whole world, but I do love that. Let me get forward here. If if I can get there. Ah, no, it's not letting me. Like I said, the thumb pad pressure, there we go. You can actually move off path a little bit. Now you have boundaries around, not too far away. But even just being able to explore these little off paths, as a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, I can't go through this tree, but I can peek into it, and that actually looks kind of cool. But, and same thing with the rock. I can actually go through the rock, so you can see how close it is to my height here. So I'm inside the rock. Should almost have a level check just to make sure it curves up, as if, same as when you're going up and down stairs, just around some of the outside terrain here. And what I love with that is that way, then if I come down, it would have me drop down to a normal walking path, just to give it a little more immersion again. It's not a major thing. But I'm going to show you something here with an idea, and again, it's strictly a suggestion, as all this is when testing. I love, again, being able to come across it. It looks like there's a path over there. I can't get over to there, but what I was thinking was, in some of these little side paths, and even behind like the garbage cans near the building, maybe behind a lid or something, almost be fun to have a Japanese yen sitting on the ground, and just have a few of them scattered around, and have it almost like an Easter egg hunt for people. If they find all, let's say 10 or 20 or whatever number there are, have it award a little badge, or here's a little Easter egg side quests completed type thing. And what I'll do is, I'm starting to turn away from the desk again. That's why I'd like a left thumb trigger to be able to rotate my view like this automatically, so I can just use straight all the time rather than turning. But what I'll do is I'll rotate here. The game itself looks absolutely amazing, though. I'm really impressed. I know there's areas that can't go down there. Oh, I'm going to show you something fun that I came across, if I can do it. I did this about 5 or 6 times yesterday, and it was something really silly and stupid, but I actually started looking around to make sure nobody was watching. But just like, I know it's not something you would do at the actual location. I know that, but I did it by accident yesterday. It was just so fun. Now, here again, it looks a little blurry, and in the camera view, it's much nicer. But here's again where I'd like to be able to, let's say on the right-hand controller, be able to click it, maybe have an audible in Japanese of what that says, so you can have a sensitive area where you're around something with writing, and it would recognize when you press the grip. And then have a little English translation pop up maybe over here type thing. Just a very simple translation when you're holding the key grip. And again, the reason for that, having the translation in English or in text form, is that way you can just have a text form for all the different languages to have the translations. So just give the people a little bit of an extra feel for what's happening. Like even up there, I would love to know what it says, because I can't read kanji. Take a little picture. I've got a bunch of other programs running at the same time. That's why you'll see some sort of jitter, a little bit of jitterness. But when I ran it smoothly with just the VR running and everything else, it ran perfectly smoothly. Now that's nice and easy to at least be able to read if I could translate what it says. I want to go that way to be a bad boy, but I'll respect as you would in the actual location. And let me see. Oh, I'm See, I'm turned away from the desk again, so let me rotate. Just make sure that my voice carries to the mic. Again, very, very slight jitteriness, but that's because I'm probably also running Photoshop and a whole bunch of other things, so you can see some of the distance stuff building as I get further. But again, I've got a lot of programs running. And here, I'm not sure if that's the same as the flag down there or not, or if it's more information. But that's why I like to have a little translation. There is one little clip spot over here where you can actually be inside there, so you might want to set the boundary level back just a little bit right around this area right here, so you can't cross path there. You can also clip through this wall, I believe. Yeah, you can clip through that wall, so you might want to set your path right along there. And oh, here's something, and again, strictly suggested. I really let me rotate around here so I can face to show you what I'm doing. I really want to ring that bell because that's actually at my height. Now, naturally, at the real location, that would be a strict no-no. But what I'd almost like to, yesterday I kept trying to go just tap it with my controller, just see if I could push it to ring it. Now, you don't even really need the animation of it hitting, but you might have a little thing where tap it and have an audible of a bell go off. And since there are different bells that can be reached, not all of them can be reached, but some can, you can almost have another Easter egg hunt. How many get an award or a badge or something, or a completion level or an Easter egg completion, getting all the bells scattered around, the ones that you can actually hit. And again, here, I have no clue where I am on here, because there are no translations or anything. And I know that's because that's based on the actual sign there. Don't worry about the writing that's disappearing on the poles. Like I said, I'm running multiple programs, so my system's just trying to keep up. I ran it yesterday with only the VR and the game, and it was perfect. All the writing was there. It was gorgeous. I love being able to go down these paths all the way. Oh, remember I was mentioning about the yens? See, there's the writing there. I'm not catching it on camera, but again, that's because I'm running a lot of stuff. Let me rotate for a second here. Okay, I'm facing the desk. So you could almost have like a yen hidden right in the root areas, right in there type thing. Just a collectible, fun little collectible for off-path stuff. Just something that doesn't really impact the game itself, just gives the user a little bit more to do. I love being able to walk off these paths into the different areas. And I know you wouldn't do this at the actual shrine area, so I feel kind of bad doing it, but we'll do this there, and see if I hold forward and I'm looking, it switches direction, but I really need a control on here so I can pivot instead of having to do that. Because I want to keep, if my chair didn't turn, I would have a lot more trouble playing it. So let's go down here. Whee! Oh, whoop, I got stuck on the pole. There we go. I'm just going to go to one other area quickly. No, there it is. And I can switch to teleport mode, and using the trigger I can teleport, which is probably a little faster right now to get to where I want to go. I do prefer the walking mode, but this will help to where I want. Oh yeah, let me switch back to walking mode and rotate here. I did come across one little artifact tweak. I'm pretty sure. Let me rotate around here. There. I'm pretty sure that's not sunlight, but you've got an artifact right there in that area. So I'm not quite sure what that is. It's probably just the horizon's a little low. And again, a fun little spot to hide a yen right down there behind the lid. Now, just as a fun little Easter egg collectible. Doesn't add anything or take away anything from the game. Just gives people a reason to explore more. Especially if they're like me and obsessive about getting all the hidden things. Again, here's where I'd like to be able to rotate with a thumbstick my camera perspective. Hopefully you can still hear me. I'll rotate the face there and rotate the stairs towards me again. There. And again, the writing is usually on the pillars, but I've got so many programs running right now that it's not quite rendering the way it normally does, but like I said, when I ran just the VR system, it was perfect. All the writing was on every post. It looked absolutely amazing, and everything was pre-rendered, and it was also smoother. But that's just an old system that I'm running, so. Again, that left-right, I'd like a sensitivity option to adjust that. I will explore around there later on when I go out on my own. I just want to point out a couple of things here. It is beautiful here. Oh, I love the music. There, see the writing now. I absolutely love the music to go with this. Brilliant choice. You might need to add, again, in an option, use a button to pop up an option to be able to turn down the music or whatever, or turn up the ambient effects. Now, that bell, there's no way I could ring, but part of the Easter egg hunt, you can always just have somebody come up and go ding, and towards ring all the bells. But my main thing is that view is absolutely gorgeous. So I'll end the video here, but let's see, switch that off to there. Nope. But anyhow, that's the Fushimi Inari VR used in a Acer Windows Mixed Reality system. So any Windows Mixed Reality system, I'm not using special controllers. I'm just using the native controllers, and as you can see, it plays fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to probably in a couple of weeks I'll buy the Steam version. I'll buy a Steam key and give it a try there to make sure that it runs as smoothly. But for the WMR, for the game, absolutely love it. Brilliant, brilliant job. Much appreciated. See you later.